What's going on, you guys? It's been a minute since we've done one of these Miro board videos, but after selling the sales agency last week and having a lot of my focus back, I wanted to get back to the roots, the stuff that is really helpful to you guys and really help set expectations for people coming into this high ticket sales industry. So on this video, there's 8 topics that I want to dive into. Now, 4 of them are just kind of general concerns or hesitations that I've seen after talking with hundreds of people that they have over this industry altogether. And then 4 of them are going to be just in regards to working with someone or like joining a community or something like that. Again, a little bit more niche down than partner, timing, finance, objection style. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Dylan. I've been running a sales community for almost 3 years now, helped over 500 people break into this space. We take a very expectation focused approach. So we don't sell the dream and then leave people to do it on their own. We run like a pretty strict one-on-one or small group consulting and really help people with their unique situation break into this space. This video, free. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of value in this video. But just so you know, that's what I do. I did recently sell the sales agency, sold my 50%. So I am back to this kind of content. Now, what are we talking about? High ticket sales. That's probably why you clicked. But remote closing and setting is the most common. I mean, DM setting, enrollment specialist, SDR, AE work, even really the whole idea is just remote 1099 contracted sales work. Some of the roles out there, they're not going to perfectly fall into one of these titles. And so this is what we're talking about. And when I was making this video, I wanted to be sure to keep this image in mind, this idea that, a lot of people when they come into this industry or when they work with someone to come into this industry, they're looking at it from like a very 2D perspective, which is a recipe for disaster because everybody's situation is different. There is actually not a single 2 people or a combined 2 people that have the same exact situation and will have the same exact outcome when going from point A to point B in this space. Now, 3D, yeah, we can look at it like that and have better success, but it is a very sliding scale dynamic reality that is required to understand if you want to properly transition into this space. And so these 8 things, I'm going to kind of demonstrate what I mean by that, because if you have a unique situation, it requires a unique approach to get unique outcome. So anyways, just so you guys know, it's not going to be super surface level. It's going to be very, we're going to take a lot into consideration. So let's get into the first thing. I want to talk about one of the biggest concerns that I see is people that maybe they're coming from sales in another industry or just something else in another industry, and they're worried about losing their base pay. Valid concern, 100%. Like, no base pay, that's your security. Well, here's the perspective that's served me and some others well. There's really 2 projected scenarios when it comes to a job with a base pay. One, you either you earn a base salary, but you don't perform, or you don't earn a base salary and you don't perform. These are the worst case scenario. They're the worst case scenario scenarios. And then in both of these situations, you're kind of just hanging on the edge, probably about to get fired. So most people, they're not in sales just to get by. If you are, you're a unique breed. But most people that I speak to that are in sales, they're doing it to accelerate their income exponentially than what they could do in a different field. And so they're shooting for the stars, right? They're maybe a little bit more entrepreneurial. They like to carry their own weight. They like to be rewarded for the work that they can put in. So if you're a top performer in either scenario, you don't really have to worry about the lack of base salary. If you're a bottom performer, I mean, whether you have a base or not, it's going to be, it's not going to be good for you. So this is something that we see really often. And so at this point, it just becomes about making sure that you have the right information, the right proximity, so that way you don't accept roles that aren't what is advertised. That's a way to put it. So the resolution here, do what you can to be a top performer. That's obvious, whether there's a base pay or not, but seek out 1099 roles with base pays. If you need that, they exist. They're mostly going to be appointment setting, SDR, or management, but you can also negotiate this on closing. I've seen people negotiate 10K per month base pays in this industry. It's possible. You can also create job security through networks and connections. And in my opinion, guys, I don't know what you're doing watching this, but arguably it's harder to land a good W-2 job than it is to land a good high ticket sales job right now. It's just the way that the corporate space works. It moves slow. They're very conscious of who they bring on. So I think the odds are a lot more stacked against you in the W-2 space. But you can also just like learn the skills to make you a top 10% applicant despite your specific sales experience. So the cool thing about high ticket sales, as long as you're competent, is the bar is really low in a lot of places. So if you can just like have a good resume, have a good Loom video introduction, if you know what that is, interview well, speak well, be eager to learn and to work, like you're already in the top 10%. If you have sales experience, it obviously helps. But that's one thing. So when it comes to like the base pay, yes, if you have like a house, wife, 3 kids, 2 car payments, a lot of people relying on you, then that's a different situation. And I wouldn't tell you to burn the boats or do anything like that. But if you're a young dude who has low living expenses and you're just in the season of life where you want to play offense and accelerate your income, this is a really considerable option for you. Just, we focus on in the one-on-one and the small group stuff that we work on. We focus on that actual transition piece to make sure that you're not going from something that's good to something that's not good. So we do a lot of due diligence with that. So losing a base pay or salary, it's not something to undermine. We should absolutely take all things into consideration before we make that jump. The next thing, work history. Some of you guys come in, speak with me or the team or whoever, and there's 2 concerns. It's either I have no experience in work or sales, like no work history, whatever, or whatsoever, or I have a ton, like I'm super overqualified. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find something that's going to be worth my time. We've seen both scenarios. We worked with people in both scenarios. Here's a perspective for you, and this kind of got messed up. But your specific path into this space, and by the way, whatever money you're making in corporate, I guarantee you can make more in high ticket. It's not going to be at the snap of your fingers, but I guarantee, I know guys that have done 40, 50K per month in commission. I know someone that's done 80K per month in commission. So based on where you start, whether you have no work history or you have a lot of relevant sales experience, or you're somewhere in the middle, which is most of you guys, you kind of just have to take it for what it is and play into your strengths. If you're down here, again, this is messed up, but if you're down here, you probably have more time, less money, less professional competency. And then on the flip side of that, everything's the opposite. So play into your strengths. The tier of job that you can land into within a reasonable amount of time depends on all the above and the things we're going to talk about later in this video. So you need to very transparently assess where you're at and figure out what you have available to use and lean into that pretty much, because someone who has some history working, like maybe they did some customer service, versus someone who has a lot of sales experience, 2 different journeys, 2 different outcomes. So the resolution here is, and this is a really, really big thing that I just kind of put together for this video, but it's very important. It's shortening the time to perspective, the TTP, because perspective is everything. And so the speed at which you can gain it and then the accuracy on which you can act upon it is the difference between someone who has the best success ever in this industry and someone who fails. Okay. So the difference between the most and least successful people I know, and then basically the idea of paying down the dumb tax. If you've ever heard that from Alex Hormozy, you can be extremely smart, but if you're going into a new industry, there will be dumb tax that no matter how smart you are, you just don't know until you know. So pay it down as fast as you can before you're taking significant action. Example, if your resume, you haven't looked at your resume in 3 years, you don't really know what these roles are, you don't know what a Loom video is, you don't know what these companies are actually looking for, and then you spend the time to go out and apply to 100 jobs. I mean, if you have good relevant work experience, you might land something, but those 100 jobs, I have another video on this. If you just maximize all the things within your control, such as even the video setup that you have, the hit rate on application to job offer, and then every step in between that funnel is just going to be higher. So the more you learn this, or the faster you learn this stuff, and then the more accurately you can implement it, the better off you're going to be, no matter if you are literally no work history or you have a lot of relevant sales experience. We've helped both people and everyone in between do this. Next thing, How do I get into this fast-paced industry safely and predictably? This is not something that a lot of people ask me before they get in, but once they get in and we start talking about all these variables in their unique situation, then they're thinking like, oh, okay, like there's actually a strategy to how to do this. Like if I'm leaving a corporate W-2 base pay and I'm getting into 1099 heavily commission-based sales, like I should actually have a game plan in place. And so that's one thing that we work with people on. But anyways, this is where a lot of people they kind of mess it up. Oh, I got to make my head smaller. Sorry, guys. Um, a lot of people mess this up because they just like shill out this one size fits all advice. And then you find yourself in a difficult spot because they give you advice that applies to someone who's 17 years old with no bills and no professional experience. Whereas you're maybe late 20s, early 30s, 2 kids and bills that you have to pay. Those two people should not be approaching this in the same way. So everyone's situation is unique. That's why your path will not look the same as the person before or after you. But the best way to leave your current occupation and dive into this market depends on these things: your specific experience, responsibilities, restrictions, limitations, pre-existing obligations, scheduling flexibility, short and long-term goals, and the people around you. And that's a lot of stuff to take into consideration because each of those things, we could break those into like sub things, right? Like your pre-existing obligations, maybe you have a job that you can't leave. Maybe you have a certain amount of bills, and I guess that would be it's not on here, like financial responsibility. Maybe you have a certain level of bills. Maybe you have to watch your daughter because your wife is at work at these days of the week. That's scheduling. So pretty much like there's a lot that goes into all this, and that's why like the one size fits all course modules, like it's just not going to serve you the way that you're probably hoping it would. So you do benefit greatly by having someone in your corner who knows the industry, who will not turn a blind eye to all of the above. Ignoring the above will cause unnecessary hardship, which can lead to reversion. You basically get in a spot where you give it a good, fair shake. It doesn't pan out the way you want it to, and then you kind of lose hope and you lose sight of what's possible because you were misdirected. And honestly, when when most people are trying to enter this space by themselves and they have to take all this into consideration and vet these opportunities themselves, this happens more times than you would probably like to believe. So what's the resolution here? I mean, one, just understand your situation versus others, but understand also what you're comfortable with and what that does or doesn't allow you to do. Again, the 17-year-old with nothing to lose and everything to gain, and the early 30-year-old with a full family financial responsibility, they're not going to approach this the same way. So just have manageable expectations around earnings and the time frame associated with them based on that all. Some people will have it easier than you, but on the flip side, I guarantee you there are people who have had it harder than you, who have achieved more than what you're probably seeking out. Surround yourself with people who are sensitive to the intricacies and nuance in this highly performance-based industry. It can be amazing, but it can also be really, really tough if you work with the wrong person. So again, just generally speaking, you don't have to work with anyone to get into this industry. I'm just talking about it because there's a lot of people who do it. So if you're trying to get in, you've probably seen some of these guys. But again, we're just getting down to shortening the time to perspective. The way that you do that is you get someone in your corner that's done it before and help potentially more people do it. So the difference with working, like let's say you work with someone who's 17 years old who had a 10K month closing. They have not worked with people from all different backgrounds to do this. So they only have like one viewpoint on how this works. Whereas if you work with someone that's worked one-on-one or small group setting with over 500 people, of all shapes, sizes, locations, backgrounds, everything, they're going to have a lot more data on what it actually would take for you and your unique situation to get the outcome that you're hoping for in the time frame that you're hoping for it. So anyways, next point. Is this stable? Why do people jump around so often? This is a really common concern that I see of people trying to break into this or considering it at least. So is it stable? Why do people jump around? So this is really specific to 1099 remote, and it can work in your favor if done correctly. But it's not uncommon in the first year or so to see people have 2, 3, 4 different roles in this space. And that's because the speed at which you can level up as a 1099 remote employee is so much faster than what you can do in W-2. So the job you want today, you might not be qualified for it, but if you get in the door, get experience now and work that over the next 5 months, like come month 6, you're instantly qualified for like a higher tier of opportunity in this space. And in most cases, people are not jumping because they're getting fired or their poor performance or whatever, but it's because better opportunity presents itself. So as a commission-based contractor, you do not owe anything to anybody. You must do what is in the best interest of the business. And if the business has an opportunity to make more money without burning people and like, leaving anyone high and dry, then the business needs to go and take advantage of the opportunity. So everyone has to face the same 2 hurdles when they come into this industry, which I think I'll talk about it now. 2 hurdles. 1, do you have sales experience? 2, do you have industry experience? Okay, so based on where you fall in those 2 hurdles when you enter the market is going to really dictate where you end up. But in this industry, results are a lot more important than tenure or logos or things like that. So sometimes that first job is like the job, like the 10K, the 20K per month, flexible schedule. But if it's not, and a lot of times it's not, then you got to play the game. Just get in fast, get into something solid, stack your reps, and then leverage up into a better quality role once you have that industry experience. That's the thing, because if you, let's hypothetically say you're applying to a closing role, 20K per month. 20K per month, that's a good role, right? And there's going to be a lot of people that apply to that. Let's say there's 30 applicants. 20 of those off the bat, they're going to have sales experience and they're going to have closing experience in this industry. If you're someone who has sales experience, but you haven't yet been in this industry, you're going to struggle. So how do you get there? How do we get there faster? Well, you already have sales experience. Let's just go get an easier role. Because maybe the only thing that's holding you back from that 20K per month role is the fact that you've never done it in this industry. So if you can go for 4 or 5 months, get the industry experience, pair that with the sales experience that you have, maybe it's record-setting experience, then you're just instantly considered for a different caliber of roles. So the resolution to this, when it comes to the stability, jumping around, playing the game, you kind of want to lean into it. And that's why, 1099 commission-based sales is never going to be the most secure option. If you want the most secure option, go get a really, really boring corporate W-2 role where you make 60K per year. That's going to be really secure. Maybe 50K per year. Because dude, those people, like the people that work those kinds of roles, they're there for 20, 30 years. So if that's what you're after, it's probably not high ticket sales or 1099 sales, but you got to make the game easier where you can through connections and hiring networks. I've said this many times before, but knowledge is power. You need people in your corner who can advise for and against certain opportunities. You don't want to get attached. You want to remove emotions, do what is needed to progress your career. Be aware of the market, how it's moving, and where you stand compared to others with similar experience. And then know when the grass is greener, know when it's not. It pays to have perspective. The guys who do the best in this industry, there's usually 2 common characteristics that I see. 1, they're usually pretty decent at what they do. But 2, they know the most people, they have the most perspective. And in times of hardship, when they need a new role, they need advice, and they can go to high-level people that also understand this and are on teams that would consider, entertaining new reps. Those guys win. So resolution, you got to lean into the game. Okay. In an ideal world, everybody lands exactly where they should be from the first day, but 95% of the time, that's not going to be the case because you got to make yourself a more attractive candidate to get that role if you've never been in this industry. Now, okay, so those were like kind of just industry specific, or like just generalized industry concerns. Now, when it comes to considering working with somebody, whether it's me, other people, other groups, that kind of stuff, here are some of the most common objections or concerns that I've seen, and I want to elaborate on them and explain why they do or don't make sense. So you guys have probably seen this. Maybe you thought about it yourself before. Can I talk to someone inside? Here's why that's flawed. Because people don't want to speak with you, a prospect, unless they're being compensated. And at that point, why are we doing this? Because you're looking for one of 2 things in this scenario. You're looking for someone to tell you this is a good idea or a bad idea. If you want someone to tell you it's a bad idea, just go ask your parents or go ask like one or go ask like 10 random people on the street, you think I should do 1099 remote sales work? They're gonna be like, you're crazy. No, like go work at Finish Line right there. Uh, and then if you're looking for someone to tell you this is a good idea, you can find that online for most people, most programs. So the request is typically rooted in fear of the unknown, which is normal. But once you understand that the company is never going to send you something you don't want to hear, you're like, why are we doing this? So that's why I run. I mean, I'm not going to actually, I don't know if this is going to transfer over. Oh, yeah. So I run, these full length, like 21-minute, 27, 15, 21, 38, full length one-on-one interviews of guys who have done really, really awesome things. That's as real as it can get, to be honest. Like, so like the resolution, if you're feeling like that and you're like, dude, I just I don't know. Like, I'd love to talk to someone before I make a decision, and I'd love to, hear another perspective. Figure out why you feel this way, and then just take into consideration like the largest institutions in the world. Like, if you're going to go invest into a hedge fund, obviously you got to have a lot of money, and you have to invest a lot of money. They're not they're not letting you talk to customers before you wire over $200,000 or $500,000. So realize that there's really just two things that you need in order to succeed at anything: is proper knowledge, and then implementation, ideally with support. So one, I mean, think about this. Do you trust that you can implement if given the tools and the knowledge? If yes, do you believe that the person in front of you has the knowledge? At that point, you need to own it. Like, if this isn't going to work for you, then do it on your own. Try, fail. You might succeed. I'm not going to say you're always going to fail, but I'm really just trying to break down like why someone wants this, right? So nobody worth working with is going to do this for free. There's always going to be somewhat of a trust fall scenario. You either make the jump or you stay where you are. It's simple. So, yeah. Can I talk to someone inside? No one really wants to talk to you. Guaranteed job placement. Now, I love this one because if you're in this high ticket space or you're considering it, you've definitely seen people that say guaranteed job placement. I'll place you here. You'll make this much, this and that. This is one of my favorite things to argue against because it is literally just not real. So guaranteed placement is not what you think it is from the people you'd actually want it from. Nobody can airdrop experience to you. Nobody's going to send applications. Nobody's going to interview for you. Nobody's going to navigate the hiring process, the follow-ups, all that for you. And nobody can force somebody to hire you. If they can, then you're just paying for a job, which is kind of a pyramid scheme. Okay? That's not what you're here for. I don't take it. So this is a service that just cannot be fulfilled at scale. And it typically works with expectations from one party or the other being compromised, meaning square peg in a round hole. Company gets someone put in that's not qualified, or you get a job that just doesn't meet your criteria. So it's really, really hard to deliver this at scale or even not at scale. And also, guaranteed placement is a one-time thing. Then you're on your own. What if in 3 months you feel like you have the skill to get into something better, but you don't have the connections or the network to do that because you got placed? Then what? Like, you're on your own. So I actually made a video on this quite some time ago. You can search it up, guaranteed job placement, serial sales. I mean, it's 21 minutes. I fully like debunked this. Resolution: give yourself the tools and resources to have the best chance of success. You need to own your success or your failure. Do not outsource it. Nobody cares as much as you do. And then create an insurance policy for yourself. Again, networks, connection, job hiring pools, that kind of thing. In the event that a guaranteed placement, though, does turn out okay at first, what happens when you're back on the market for one reason or the next? It's similar to, from a business ownership perspective, hiring an agency versus building internally. It's faster, it's quicker, it might be easier, but you run the risk of them leaving, it not working out, performance dropping, them not caring as much as you. And it's a lazy shortcut, to be honest. You need to be cautious of specific language used as well, because some of these guys will say guaranteed placement, but most are just outsourcing the responsibility of this placement to you, the buyer, or a third party. So they say, I guarantee that you apply, or I guarantee that you get this type of outcome in this time frame. And then you get in there and you realize like, oh, they're actually not going to place me anywhere. Like, I have to go and do the thing. So it's a sales tactic, guys. I don't really vouch for it, to be honest. A lot of people offer it. I don't. Not enough testimonials. This one's decently common, but let's talk about this. Like, okay, you don't want to buy something or you don't want to work with someone because there's not enough testimonials. And also, guys, for you guys that are already in high ticket sales, like these objections and these overcomes are, I mean, use them, right? They're good and they're really thought out. But testimonials are never going to tell the whole story, good or bad, because good testimonials, the provider's probably asking for them, which means they're going to be skewed. And bad testimonials, the service is bad and customers are upset. So the largest and most trusted businesses in the world do not ask for testimonials, and they do not provide client references, and they just let their product be the source of truth. Like if you see here, I ran a poll on Twitter the other day, and it ended it wasn't over here yet, but it ended right about where it is here. For every 8 people that voted iPhone is the best phone, 1 person votes for Android. But then if you go to Apple and look at their reviews, I mean, you watching this, you probably have an iPhone and you probably like it. You probably don't have too many complaints, hopefully. And look at their reviews, bro. Go look at, like, this is on Trustpilot. Go look at American Express on Trustpilot. Go look at MasterCard. Like, go look at any big company. Let me see what's near me. Sony. Go look at Sony. Go look at, what else do we have here? I don't know, maybe car manufacturers. Like, just go look at these big companies, bro. Reviews don't tell the whole story. They can be fake, they can be paid, they can be from a competitor. So not to say there's not valuable stuff in reviews, but ultimately you just need to be cautious. You need to seek out authenticity in content marketing, sales, and reviews, and do the necessary research until it's simply unreasonable for the opposing viewpoint to be true in your mind. Find both controlled and uncontrolled testimonial and reviews. There's a difference between, like, what I showed you guys here and like third-party online reviews. Because if you go and like look up the serial sales community, look for third-party reviews, there's like some guys that wrote stuff for affiliate stuff, like ranking all of the sales programs and all that. They've never been in it. They actually got so much stuff wrong. But it's like this huge list. They're like trying to run some affiliate commission thing, this huge list of every sales training program out there. And it's just like AI stuff. Like, it's not an actual thing. But there's a difference between that or something like this. Or if you go and you Google like a certain company, I mean, Reddit index is really high. And if you see a whole Reddit thread on how this company sucks and their offer sucks, like that, in my opinion, tells me more than anything on YouTube. So if they don't have bad reviews, it's almost a good thing. Or if they don't have any reviews, it's kind of a green flag, because if it was bad, they would have bad reviews. Okay. Assuming they've been doing this for a good amount of time now. If they're brand new and they don't have any reviews, that's like super neutral. It's almost negative, because then you don't have any way to validate this. But if they have internal reviews and don't have external reviews, in my opinion, it's like they're not working people over and forcing them to go put bad reviews online in order to like get compensated or get back at the company. So yeah, just be wary of both, especially if the individual leaving the review has not gone through the full product or experience, and they didn't pay full price to do that. So reviews, I don't know, testimonials, reviews, or also like talking to someone, like you just have to be able to like look at it objectively. Does this person seem trustworthy? Do I think they're lying to me? Through all these videos and all this content that I have viewed and I've grown to like trust this person a little bit, would it be unreasonable for all these to be a lie? And if the answer is yes, it would be unreasonable, then you have your answer. And I can show you, like, right here, if you tallied up like 21, 27, 15, all these all the way down, if that, like, just imagine if those were all fake. Like, that would be insane. That would be a crime. Okay. So like, I mean, just through watching this kind of stuff, you start to see like, all right, man, maybe it's just like my brain putting up the guard as it should be. So anyways, the last one, dude, and this is the most common objection or concern that I get when I talk to people, or when my team talks to people about the sales community that we run, or just any kind of community altogether. I don't need sales training. A lot of you salespeople don't need sales training. And that's the thought that I had when I came in as well. Here's the thing. You probably don't need sales training, period, or right now, period. Depends on how good you are and what kind of experience you have. But what you will benefit from is everything else specific to this industry that just like sets you in the top 10% by default. Okay. The stuff that you're like, if you're coming from software sales or insurance sales or car sales, there is just like a break in what you understand from that industry to this one. And there are things that can be stacked in your favor to just make it so much easier to land in a better spot from day one in this industry. So, proper expectations around what entering this industry successfully actually looks like, a unique roadmap based on your specific experience, restrictions, challenges, goals, the stuff we mentioned earlier. A 1099 results oriented resume, which is way different than a corporate resume, insight into the best application and Loom strategies, these open and closed doors, bridging the gap between past results and how they actually apply into this industry, the two hurdles that we talked about, and then learning how to properly assess and perform due diligence on job offers, not to mention getting those job offers in front of you in the first place. For appointment setting, there's 9 things. For closing, there's 7 things that we look for to validate an on-target earnings within a company. So, not to mention the jobs, the connections, access to like 1 to 10 style hiring pools with recruiters, agencies, other businesses. There's just a lot. Like you could be President's Club, account executive in software. Like example, I don't know if he's President's Club, but Jared was enterprise account executive. Apo, who I'm actually meeting with tomorrow, who's in Austin from Greece because of remote closing. Both of these guys are coming from like pretty prestigious account executive software jobs, and they're both crushing it. But like coming into this industry, it's just different, bro. Like if you value your time and you value money, you figure out which one you value more, and move accordingly. So my experience personally is during my last 12 months in roofing sales, where I came from, where I first got my sales experience and first job. I was the number 1 rep on my team. I was breaking company records. I was getting, I was gaining a lot of confidence. And this gave me the confidence to go all in with high ticket because I saw these guys that were 17, 18 years old doing 10, 20K per month from home. And I was like, if they can do it, why can't I? But once I landed in a good closing team, which was a whole thing in itself on how I got there, I was middle of the pack while giving more effort. And I was just unsure like why I wasn't the best. Okay. And it kind of got boiled down to like, it's just a different style of sales. The timeline structure, product operations, expectations, it's a different industry. And I just had to learn how to sell better in that industry. So if you already have a sales background, like you can get in, you don't need sales training to get in, but you're probably going to want some guidance once you're in to know exactly, how to maximize your outcome in high ticket. So many people, including myself, undermine the high ticket sales training, as they should. I mean, if you're a good salesperson, you should have confidence in your ability to sell anything to anybody, right? But a lot of these trainers should not be considering themselves trainers. And also when it comes to finding success quickly in this industry, sales training just like is not a priority. There's a time and a place, but it's not from day one. It's this stuff, the consideration and the implementation of this stuff here that actually gets you hired fast into quality roles. You could come like for our agency that I just exited a week ago. If we're hiring for a role, let's say it's a 15K per month closing role, and you put on your resume, like you have all this sales experience, and you put on your resume, I went through this training, this training, this training, this training, and for that reason, I should be hired. I'm like, no, not really. Because, you went through these trainings, but you've never done it in this industry before. Now, it does help, but you can't expect that just because you went through a sales training that you're entitled to a job. It's just not how it works. Anyone with actual industry experience is going to be prioritized above you. That's why we focus on this and not the sales training. So I don't need sales training. You're probably right. You probably don't need a sales trainer to land a job. That's why you would usually work with someone, is to get a job. So make sure that that person you're working with focuses on the things that actually help you get a job. Now, all that being said, guys, these are the 8 most common things that I see, whether it's just about the industry or about a community, a sales community. You've seen this, but all these things, surprise, all these things we focus on and really pay attention to detail to in the sales community that I've been running since August of 2022. In that community, let me see. Oops. Jeez, hold on. Skull. Hold on, guys. There we go. In that community, here we go. You need someone that's going to pay specific attention to your unique situation to get you the unique outcome. We have obviously a ton of course material, ton of it, but when it comes to posting jobs, newest post, there's nowhere else that you're going to really surround yourself with this much frequency. I know we're coming off the weekend, but 2 hours ago, 2 hours ago, 14 hours ago, 20, 1 day ago, 2 days ago, and then I think this is the weekend, 5 days, 6 days, 6 days. We've posted over probably 1,100 jobs in the last year and a half since we've been in school. And then also the wins. Surrounding yourself with people that are winning. You see the frequency on these. John Brown is doing a lot of winning. But yeah, we've had some really big ones in here. And yeah, just surrounding yourself with people that kind of do it transparently, right? Surrounding yourself, actually, where's members here? Surrounding yourself, boom, here we go, with guys that are, have been doing 10K, 20K per month. Like Burhan's been doing 20K per month for most of, all of 2025 so far, but a good majority of 2024. Isaiah, this guy lives like 3 minutes from me, just got his first job, first closing job, first PIF, paid in full deal. This guy had Zion, actually check this out. Zion, 13.6K. This was in September, but 100K cash collected in under 70 hours, 16 deals closed, taking home 10K in commission in 70 hours. So surround yourself with people that understand that this is not just 2D, right? And so if you want to learn more about this page, serialsalescommunity.com, it's going to be in the description. Everything you need to know about is in this video. If you actually see all these segments, any kind of concern that you could have about the community, the results that you can expect, what it costs, all that stuff, it's right here. Full video agenda as well. Anything you need. And if you want proof, there's proof there. But that's pretty much it, guys. Like these are some of the most common and intricate objections that we commonly get, or concerns that we see from people before they get into this industry, before they work with me. And so if you watch this video and you're like, yeah, all that makes sense, then good for you. You're already a step ahead. If you watch this video and you're like, this is all bullshit, like this guy's full of shit, then apologize for wasting your time. So anyways, guys, that's the video. We've been going on for a while now, like 38 minutes. If you want to speak with my team, specifically my guy, Diego, awesome guy who actually, look at this. Diego, right here. Leaving corporate sales to make 10K his first month in high ticket sales. Diego is the guy that helps me talk to people about the community. He's really solid. He is a case study that came from corporate W-2 role, not even a sales role, and then made 10K in his first month after getting into the community. You would be talking with Diego, and he can run you through everything. Also, this video will run you through everything. So, guys, let me know in the comments when it comes to this like educational style of video. Let me know what kind of things you'd like me to break down. I really love to like open up and expand on ideas that nobody else is talking about, because everybody else in this space, they think, oh, you didn't land it, like you haven't landed a job yet. Like you need to do more role plays. You need to get better at handling objections, which is just not true. Like people are coming into this industry to land jobs, and then 90% of the people that help people land jobs focus on sales training, and that's it. Sales training doesn't land you jobs. Mic drop right there. I'm done talking. Go to the description, book a call with my team, with Diego, and we'll talk to you soon. See you on the next video. Peace.